Hello, 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 ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you guys had a great weekend. Sorry, no video for today's slate. I think I'm gonna skip videos for Sunday just because it's gotta prepare the night before for NBA, NFL, and stuff. So we'll do videos most likely. I'm not saying I'm not gonna make videos on Sunday, but we'll do at least 6 days a week. We'll say, but hopefully you guys had a great weekend. Hopefully you guys had a great NFL Sunday. If you don't know who I am, my name is Shook. I make NBA content. If you ever need to get a hold of me privately, you can get a hold of me on Twitter or X right here. Had a good day on the sports books. That's not what today was. Got hooked on three props. Then all these videos, they get posted to this subreddit right here. I'll have it linked down below. My post, you can ask me questions leading up to lock about the slate. I make updates about the slate. Pretty much anything you need, I will have that linked down below for you guys. And then if you're looking for more in-depth content where I give you guys sportsbook plays, prize pick plays, core plays for NBA, private videos, I give you guys a flag plant and GPPs that's going overlooked by the field. My flag plants have been absolutely insane this year. And I don't just core the top owned plays like everybody else. We actually try to, find ways to get different with the flag plants and stuff like that. So that'll be linked down below. And yeah, without further ado, as always, we do go over my lineup from the night before. Good day in NFL. They tried to get me in NFL. They tried to get me with Drake London and Chris Olave getting hurt. So that was a bit unfortunate. Went light in NBA today because I always go light on Sundays, but had a good day. Oh wow, insane, nice. Had a good day today. My core today was Jose Alvarado, Brandon Ingram, Jordan Hawkins, and Jalen Suggs. Suggs blowout. He wasn't having a great game regardless, but the flag plant in GPPs was just on the money today, and that was Brandon Boston Jr. He was my flag plant in GPPs. What do I mean by flag plant? I just think someone that the field is overlooking that has a ton of upside and can win you a GPP. And Brandon Boston was one of those guys. He was in all the top lineups tonight, so I feel really, really, really good about that call. Yeah, hopefully you guys had a great weekend. Let's break down this 7 game slate. But there's like 15 games tomorrow or something, just something absolutely wild. It's going to be an insane day. I'm glad they kind of broke up the slates. So, yeah, let's do it. Milwaukee at Cleveland, not a good spot here for Milwaukee. We do have Giannis Antetokounmpo questionable. If he's out, last year they did a bunch of weird things. They kind of like Bobby Portis off the bench. They would start like they kind of changed the team. Last year they would start like Andre Jackson at times, just absolutely disgusting. Not saying they're going to do that. I think with this version of the roster, I would lean at being Bobby Portis, but who knows? They just hate starting Bobby Portis. But if Giannis is out, Bobby Portis would look phenomenal at 5.8K. Already a great point per minute guy, but with Giannis off the court, he's going to get a massive minutes bump. He would play around 30 minutes, possibly more. Great point per minute, 5.8K. He would instantly shoot up to an amazing play at that price point. Damian Lillard would look phenomenal. This is a rematch from the other day. He would look great. These other guys, Gary Trent, Torian Prince, they would get a usage bump, right? Taking one of your highest usage players out of the lineup. Gary Trent's going to have to shoot the ball a lot more. I wouldn't mind him. Torian Prince would be fine. Pat Connaughton probably gets more run off the bench. And then, yeah, would absolutely love Bobby Portis. So if Giannis is out, you're definitely going to need some Milwaukee. The main standouts here, Damian Lillard, Bobby Portis. Brook Lopez doesn't get a massive bump, but he does get a slight one. He would be decent too. All right, let's move on to Cleveland. Karis LeVert is questionable. If he's out, that's going to be a bump to guys like Sam Merrill, Ty Jerome. Sam Merrill at 3.6K would be a viable large field GPP play. I actually played him 2 days ago. I cashed 2 days ago as well. I forgot to show you guys, but I actually played him 2 days ago at 2% ownership. He was actually a core play for me as well until I swapped off to Laravia once we got that fake lineup. He smashed. He would be a viable large field GPP play. You can play him in single entry stuff as well, like I did, but he would be viable. And then, yeah, bump to like Garland, Donovan Mitchell. They would have to play a ton. It's a great spot for both of them. I think Donovan Mitchell, really like him, even if Karis LeVert plays. Going to play big minutes. Great spot going up against the Bucks. So I really like Donovan Mitchell. I think the bigs, they're kind of just there for me. And Darius Garland is pretty solid at 7-1. Would much prefer spending the extra $1,000 for like a Donovan Mitchell, but yeah, I think the guards would look pretty good here going up against the Bucks. I think it's going to do it for Cleveland, guys. Let's move on to the Warriors. So can Steph Curry just please play? I am begging. I am begging for Steph Curry to just please play. If Steph's out, last game they went with the starting lineup of Brandon Podziemski, Draymond Green, Andrew Wiggins, Trace Jackson Davis, and Moses Moody. Moody didn't really play much. He only played like 17 minutes. You saw they're going to ride the hot hand. If Buddy Hield's playing well, they'll go with Buddy Hield. If Kuminga's playing well, they'll go with Kuminga. Like, there's no telling what Steve Kerr is going to do. It's a great spot going up against Washington, but what I can tell you, if Steph Curry's out, Brandon Podziemski is going to play massive minutes, and I still think at 6.3K, he would be too cheap, so I still would like Podziemski. Draymond Green at 6.1K, he's actually playing some backup point with no Steph Curry. Why isn't it loading? So normally last year when Steph was out, his rates weren't that great, but if he's going to play some backup point at 6.1, I don't mind the price point there. I think that's a little bit too cheap for Pods, though. Kuminga at 6'2", don't love it. And then Andrew Wiggins should play around 30 minutes, should be their go-to guy on offense. He will be a solid play. I don't think anyone's going to play him tomorrow if Steph's out. Trace, the minutes, you can't trust him. Only a large field play for me just because he's so good point per minute. And if he does get around 20 minutes, he could smash. But yeah, large field only. And then if they start like a Moses Moody, he's playable. But I have no confidence in the minute. They're just going to ride the hot hand, right? Moving on to Washington, so with Kuzma, Brogdon, Sadiq Bey, everyone out, they went with the starting lineup of Jordan Poole, Bilal Coulibaly, Sarr, Bob Carrington, and Keyshawn George, I believe, was the starters. I have it up here. Let me just make sure again. Jonas went back to the bench. They actually ran a really tight rotation as well. You saw massive minutes for the starters until the blowout. Keyshawn George, 26. Bob Carrington, close to 40. He was on pace for 40. Sarr 27, Coulibaly 33, Jordan Poole 30, and then they got pulled with the blowout. Okay spot going up against the Warriors. I mean, I still think you have to have interest in some of these Wizards with everyone out. First off, the value. I think the value is pretty good here. Bob Carrington's going to continue to play massive minutes. Listen, he's not going to be the best point per minute guy, but he can stuff the stat sheet. He's 4.6K, and if he's going to play close to 40 minutes, I think he's a good value. And a guy I think that's going to get slept on by the field tomorrow with these guys out is a guy like Corey Kispert. Corey Kispert, traditionally, especially last year, going into this year, is a guy that's going to chuck the ball. Actually, a solid producer at 4.9K. I think he's a solid pivot off, Bub, if he's popular. I think Corey Kispert's going to go super slept on tomorrow, and then Keyshawn George, I think is a decent value, assuming he starts again. Sarr is playable at 5'6". I think Coulibaly is still too cheap. I think he's kind of similar to like a Jeremy Sochan. I still think he's too cheap. I'm expecting him to get some ownership. I think he looks good. And then, yeah, like some Jordan Poole. So Wizards definitely look fine to me. And let's move on to the Lakers. Everyone is probable outside of D'Angelo Russell. If D'Lo's out, Gabe Vincent, I would assume starts. He would be a really solid value, but you see more run for the guards like Dalton Connect, Max Christie will get more run, Gabe Vincent, etc., etc. And then it'll be one to like Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves' potential is going way, way up this year. Fine spot going up against Detroit. 80, they're running the offense through. Just been phenomenal. I think he's one of my favorite spend-ups up on the board here. He should have his way. 80 looks great. I think LeBron at 9K is decent as a spend-up as well. So both the top two guys here for the Lakers look pretty good to me. Austin Reeves, like I said, his potentials are way up. He's taking a step up this year. I think he's super, super safe. Should play big minutes. Prefer him to D'Angelo Russell. Rui's priced right. And yeah, could have some value opening up here if D'Lo is out. Let's move on to Detroit. What are we doing with this price point with Jalen Duren? Now, definitely some foul risk here going up against Anthony Davis. Blowout potential as well. So he could get his minutes really slashed. So if he's really popular tomorrow due to the price point, I understand the fade. But what are we doing here with the price point? I think 5.8K is just absurd. I love Jalen Duren tomorrow. Like I said, foul prone risk, blower risk, but way too cheap. And I think Jaden Ivey's too cheap at 5.9K. I think he really looks good. Good spot going up against the Lakers. I think Cade's a solid play. Tobias Harris is playing big minutes. He's playable. Tim Hardaway Jr. is a fair value. And then they're playing Malik Beasley a ton off the bench. But I have a lot of interest in these Detroit guys tomorrow, so I'm ready to get punished. But then we go to, by far, one of the best teams to target on the slate. Jaylen Brown out. Kristaps Porzingis out. Last game, went with starters of Jason Tatum, Derek White, Drew Holiday, Al Horford, Luke Cornett. Cornett should play low 20s minutes. He's a great value at 3.9K. Al Horford's minutes should be a little bit more secure. great spot going up against Atlanta. I think he's firmly in play. Peyton Pritchard should play around 30 minutes off the bench, 5.2K. Guy's going to chuck when he's out there. Remember the quote when they said they're going up against bad teams. I don't know Atlanta's record this year. I feel like they're playing a little bit better, honestly, without DeJounte Murray. But what is their record? They're 3-4, so still pretty bad. They want to extend Peyton Pritchard. I still think he'll play around 30 regardless and could get extended a little bit more. Still have interest in Pritchard. What is this price point on Drew Holiday? I think he looks fantastic. Derek White at 6'7" gets a massive bump with no Jaylen Brown. I really like him. Jason Tatum looks phenomenal. And like I said, the values, Luke Cornett. You need some Boston, but they look phenomenal. Moving on to Atlanta, so I assume everyone's going to be out. That was out today is going to be out tomorrow. DeAndre Hunter, Bogey, could have a Okongwu come back. If a Okongwu come back, it kind of takes Larry Nance out of play for me. Rishisher out of would still be fine. Sorry, Roddy would get a significant downgrade. Don't know if I'd go there. Garrison Matthews would still be a playable value, and then Capella would look worse. They didn't even play him that many minutes tonight, if I recall. Yeah, only 21 minutes. They're just playing more Nance. Yeah, they just don't want to play Capella big minutes. But yeah, if everyone's out again, I think, Larry Nance would be a good value at 3.9K. If he plays 25 minutes, he is too cheap. He will be a really solid value. David Roddy will be playable. Rishisher had a bad game tonight. He's fine for value. Capella, like I said, they're not going to play him a ton of minutes. More of a large field play for me. Dyson's priced right. And I really like both the top. Great spot here for Trae Young. I think Jalen Johnson at 8.2K still too cheap. I'm just going to keep hammering Jalen. Really like both the top two guys here. And then, yeah, the value plays here if DeAndre Hunter and Okongwu are out. If Okongwu is in, like I said, I'm probably not going to get to any of the values. Garrison Matthews would still be fine. Moving on to Memphis. So one thing to note here is Jaren's minutes were up on pace for over 30. Same with John Morant. So if they're going to slowly tick up John Morant's minutes without Desmond Bane, and if no one's going to play him, he is unowned every single slate. I'm going to love him in GPPs. I think Jaren with his minutes upticking is firmly in play. Santi Aldama at 6'2", should play around 30, 35 minutes. Super safe, good rebounder, is double-double upside. Don't mind that. I think Pippen is just priced right for me. Same with the value here, Jalen Wells. I will say Eddie's minutes played around 22. If he's going to play over 20 minutes, I think he's a decent contrarian value. Jay Huff's getting run off the bit. They can always go to Jay Huff. It's just disgusting. But yeah, some GPP stuff I think I like here. No one's playing Ja. Maybe they'll catch on tomorrow. Maybe, just maybe. Moving on to Brooklyn, Dennis Schroeder at 7K finally had the letdown game. He finally didn't shoot 100% from 3. I'm fine fading when he's chalk. I think 7K is just priced right. Just give me Cam Thomas for $300 more going up against Memphis. So I really like Cam Thomas. Claxton coming off the bench, can't get there. Ben Simmons should play low to mid 20s minutes. Great producer, good rebounder, can get you assists, super safe value for me. Dorian Finney-Smith, finds a last piece in type deal. Nothing amazing here. I think Thomas is my favorite play there. Moving on to Sacramento. Not the best spot here, but it is actually a pretty good spot for Keegan Murray. Guys that are going to shoot 5, 6, 7+ shot from 3. Actually, pretty good spot here for Keegan Murray. So I might say Keegan Murray is my favorite play from Sacramento, but no must here. Now, I will say if Kevin Huerter gets rolled out, Malik Monk is the sole benefit from that. They started Doug McDermott with Huerter out, but he only played 2 shifts. I think Keanu Ellis will get a bump, but the main bump's going to be Malik Monk. Good point per minute guy off the bench. I wouldn't say he's a must at 5'7", but would still be a good play. And then, yeah, Keegan, I don't think anyone's going to play him. Really good spot for him. The main guys all look fine to me. I think Sabonis is my favorite. Let's move on to Miami. Nothing here. I don't want to play anyone. You want to go to Jovic, I think it's okay. Or a Bam Adebayo at 7'7". Does seem a little bit too cheap. Same with a Hero, but nothing really stands out to me on Miami. Let's move on to Utah. Can Markkanen just come back? Please, man. If Markkanen's out, good luck. No Clarkson as well. Last game, they went with starters of Keontae George, Walker Kessler, Colin Sexton, Filipowski, and Cody Williams, I believe, were the starters. I can just pull up the rotation. Let's just take a look at what they did. No surprise what they did here. They trolled. I believe they trolled, actually. I think it was a blowout, too. Yeah, it was a blowout. So they're just really bad. There's always blowout risk with the Utah Jazz, but Walker Kessler should normally play around 30 minutes, especially if Markkanen's out. Keontae George we can trust with his minutes, and then everyone else I don't trust their minutes. Sexton should play at least around 25 minutes, and then yeah, they can always go to like John Collins, etc. Johnny Juzang played 26. Like, what are we doing? Uh, have to say that every now and then, but yeah, I mean Sexton. If I knew he played it for 30 minutes, I would really like him, even at 6.4K. John Collins is priced right, but if he plays around 30 minutes, I think he's decent. Gets a significant bump with Markkanen out. Keontae George at 6-1, with both those guys out, has to do a ton more. Still like him, and I feel like all these guys are going to be under-owned tomorrow because everyone's gotten burned by them back-to-back slates. Kessler should play around 30 minutes. Great shot blocker. Probably going to get you a double-double. I think he's a good play. Filipowski, the values, not as too in love with these guys, but playable. And then if Markkanen's in, I'm just going to stay away from this team. I still think you can consider like Markkanen himself. Chicago's playing a lot faster this year. It's been a great matchup. So like Markkanen, I'd have interest in, assuming no limit. And then I think my other favorite play would probably be Walker Kessler, but that's mainly it for me. Moving on to Chicago, so if Levine and Paul are both in, I think Vooch is just a smash tomorrow. I really like Vooch at 7-9 in a great spot. I think Levine's way too cheap at 7-2, so I'm pretty high on both the Bulls' top two guys here. Not liking too much else here, but if we get both these guys out, you're going to see more minutes for, like, I would assume it would be the main benefactor of that. He would be a good value, then you'll probably see a bit more like Dylan Terry, Julian Phillips. But Vooch would look phenomenal if Levine's out. Josh Giddey, Kobe White would be decent plays, and then yeah, you would get bumps to the values. I would be my favorite. Moving on to New York. So Brunson, Cat, I think Brunson's too cheap, although he's been a letdown so far this year. I mean, I'm going to keep saying it. Why is Cat going unowned every single slate? I figured these games where he wasn't shooting was a bit of an outlier. If he is going to continue to take 20 shots when he is playing the 5, he should be a 9K player. Not the best spot, but yeah, too cheap. Josh Hart, super safe just because the amount of minutes he's going to play, and then you'll see some Miles McBride off the bench. That's really it. I'm clapping, by the way. I bet his points plus rebounds and his points plus assists. He doesn't play the second, and he doesn't play the fourth, and it's a competitive game. Not sure what that is. I think it's a complete outlier. I think normally you're probably going to get mid-30s minutes, which makes him a good contrarian play. I don't think anyone's going to have the nerve to click on him after that, so like Sengun as a contrarian play. I think everyone else is just pretty bland to me. I'm not really into too much else here. So that's going to be it for the slate, guys. Hope you guys had a great night, and I will talk to y'all tomorrow night.